After our wedding, my husband's father handed me a contract. Sign this, all major decisions will go through me now. My husband smiled and said, it's just how our family works. I pretended to read it, then pulled out my own papers and said, great. Now you sign mine. Their faces dropped as they realized what it was. So I, 31 female, got married recently to a man I'll call Ryan, 33 male. We met 3 years ago while working in Seattle. Both of us were in real estate. He was charming, confident, and funny in that, trust me, I know what I'm doing, way. At first, things were great. He was kind and supportive. He'd bring me coffee in the mornings, make late-night runs to get my favorite snacks, text me good morning and good night without fail. That kind of thing. His family? Different story. Ryan came from a wealthy, old-money kind of family. They live in a huge house outside of Bellevue, full gated driveway, stone lines out front, a chandelier bigger than my first apartment. They're the kind of people who still refer to money as the family fortune. His dad, Gregory, is the CEO of a bunch of companies I'd never heard of until I started Googling. His mom was more in the background, smiling but cold. Like everything she said was rehearsed. From the start, Gregory gave me weird vibes. He was polite, but in that condescending way. The kind of man who talks to you like you're interviewing for a job he already decided you're not right for. I always felt like I was being sized up. Like I had to earn being part of their family. Still, I kept it civil. Ryan told me, he's just intense. It's how he is with everyone. Once you're family, it'll be different. I believed him. We had a beautiful wedding. Classy, nothing over the top, just under 120 guests. My dress was simple, lace, and I wore my grandmother's bracelet. Ryan looked great. Smiling, laughing, saying all the right things. Everything went off without a hitch. We danced, we toasted, we kissed under the twinkle lights. I thought I married the love of my life. The next morning, we were at his parents' house for brunch. Just close family. Ryan's sister, his mom and dad, and a few cousins. I was still tired but happy. We were sitting around their massive dining table. Real silverware. Heavy crystal glasses. They served fresh berries and smoked salmon on tiny white plates. I remember that part clearly because I was starving and only managed 2 bites before it happened. Gregory stood up, cleared his throat. Everyone got quiet. He walked over to me and handed me a manila envelope. Just a quick thing, sweetheart, he said, smiling like he'd already won something. It's a standard document. We give this to everyone who joins the family. Just a signature. Nothing major. I opened it. Inside was a multi-page contract. It said that from now on, all major life decisions, business investments, property purchases, loans, starting a business, and even having children had to be approved by Gregory. Not just discussed. Approved. In writing. I had to sit still for a second to make sure I was reading it right. This is normal? I asked. Of course, Gregory said. It's how our family keeps things in order. Trust me, you'll come to appreciate the structure. I looked at Ryan, waiting for him to say something. To roll his eyes. To say, yeah, no, this is ridiculous, Dad. Instead, Ryan just smiled. It's just how we do things, he said. My mom signed one. My sister's fiancé already signed his. It's part of the family trust. Totally normal. I felt my hands go cold. What Ryan didn't know is that I'd seen red flags months before the wedding. Not huge ones, nothing that screamed run, but enough that I kept my eyes open. Little things. Like when Ryan told me I didn't need to handle any of the real estate documents we co-signed. That he'd take care of it. When he shrugged off questions about the financing of our wedding, saying his parents got it covered. I asked for transparency. He'd changed the subject. One day I found out he transferred one of our shared rental properties into a shell company owned by his dad. When I brought it up, he said it was for tax purposes. He promised to reverse it. He didn't. I started keeping records. Quietly. Took screenshots, copied documents, emailed them to myself under a secret folder. I also got a lawyer. My dad's friend in Tacoma, a brilliant estate lawyer. We drafted an agreement together. One that said if any attempt was made to control me financially or legally through the marriage, I'd retain all rights to my income, assets, and future earnings. Any property tied to both names would revert to me. And any interference in reproductive choices, yes, that was in there, would trigger an automatic separation of assets and legal recourse. I had it notarized. I had it waiting. I never expected to use it on the day after my wedding. But I had it. I took Gregory's contract and pretended to skim through it. Then I smiled and said, I actually have something for you to sign as well. I walked to my purse, pulled out my own envelope, and handed it to Ryan. It's just how my family does things, I said. They looked confused. Ryan opened the first page. His eyes moved fast. Then slower. Then stopped. Gregory took it from him. Started reading. His mouth went tight. He looked at me like I'd just spat in his drink. "This is ridiculous," he said. "It's a response to what you just handed me," I replied. "Seems fair." Ryan looked up at me like I was speaking another language. "Why would you even do this?" he asked. "Same reason you handed me yours," I said calmly. "To protect what's mine." The whole room went silent. You could hear someone's fork hit a plate. Ryan's mom quietly said, "Maybe we should all just talk about this." "No need," I interrupted. "I'm happy to sign his if he signs mine." No one moved. Gregory looked like he wanted to say something, but nothing came out. Ryan looked at me like I had just become a stranger. I sat there waiting, still smiling. I was calm, completely calm, because I already knew they weren't going to sign. I just wanted them to see that I wasn't some wide-eyed girl who got lucky marrying into money. I came prepared. After I slid the papers across the table, everything changed. Ryan didn't say a word. Gregory stared at me like I'd thrown a knife at him. His hand gripped the edge of the table, knuckles white. Ryan's mom just looked, scared. I stood up, calmly collected both envelopes, and tucked them back into my purse. "Let me know when you're ready to sign. I'll be in the car." And I walked out. Ryan followed me out 10 minutes later. He got in the passenger seat and just sat there, silent. "What was that?" he finally asked. "You tell me," I said. "Why would you hand me a contract giving your dad control over our lives? It's just how it's done in my family. Not in mine. You made me look like a fool." I turned and looked straight at him. "No. You did that yourself the second you thought I'd sign away my independence. You've had weeks to be honest with me, Ryan." You said nothing. He rubbed his face like he was trying to shake something off. "It's not a big deal." That's when I laughed. Loud, bitter. "It's not a big deal to sign away my body, my finances, and my future to your father? Then yeah, we've got a very big deal." We didn't speak much after that. Maui was already booked for the honeymoon. I agreed to go. I needed time to think. But I was also watching carefully. He tried to act normal. Breakfast on the balcony. Hand on my lower back. Casual touches. But he was off. Cold 1 second, then overcompensating the next. He thought he could win me back by pretending nothing had happened. But I wasn't pretending. I was observing. One night, he left his phone out and fell asleep. Notifications from Gregory popped up on the lock screen. "We need to get her to sign. Use leverage. Don't let her manipulate you. She's playing you. Her lawyer can't touch the family trust. We've done this before." That was it for me. I took screenshots and sent them to myself. I wasn't just dealing with one man. I was dealing with all of them. When we got back from the honeymoon, I didn't go back to our shared condo. "I want to stay with a friend in Capitol Hill." Ryan begged me to just come home. I said no. A week later, Gregory showed up at my office. No warning. I walked into the lobby and he was just there, talking to the receptionist like he owned the place. "Can we talk?" he asked. "We can't," I said. "Not without lawyers." "You're being emotional." I stared at him. That word. Emotional. He handed me a folder. "New offer. More generous. My son loves you. We all want this to work. But we need stability." I opened it. A revised contract. Still trash, just worded more softly. It said I'd agree to consult the family on financial matters. It didn't say Gregory directly, but that's what Family Governance Council meant. I wasn't stupid. And this time, it included a clause about children. Any children from our marriage would automatically become part of the family trust. Controlled by them. Decisions about education, religion, even medical care, they'd have a say. I almost threw up. I closed the folder, handed it back. "This is illegal. Only if it gets challenged." "But it won't." He smiled. "You're alone in this. You think the law will protect you? We are the law in the city." He turned and walked out. I knew I had to be careful. These weren't people who took no for an answer. So I played along for a little while. Responded to Ryan's texts. Agreed to dinner. Smiled when I needed to. Meanwhile, my lawyer was building a case. I had evidence, the original contract. The revised one. The messages from Gregory to Ryan. Proof of the property transfers Ryan did without my consent. Then, a twist I didn't expect, Ryan tried to move money out of our joint account. I got a notice from my bank. A flagged transaction. $48,000 attempted transfer to a business account I'd never heard of. It got blocked. Thank God I'd set up safeguards months ago with dual authentication and alerts. When I confronted him, he said, "It's a business investment. My dad vouched for it." I laughed in his face. "You just tried to steal from me." He rolled his eyes. "You're my wife. It's our money." "Not anymore." Then came the unexpected twist. Ryan's sister, Emily, yes, I know, but for this story let's call her Leah instead, reached out. Quietly. She asked to meet. Said she had something to tell me. We met at a coffee shop in Queen and Leah looked nervous, like someone was watching her. I saw the contract. The one he gave you. You signed one too? She nodded. I regret it every day. She pulled out a flash drive. There are at least 6 other women who've been through this. Ex-wives. Ex-fiancés. They all signed. And when things got ugly, they were wiped clean. No money. No house. One of them was forced to leave the state. My stomach dropped. She leaned closer. They're setting you up. When Leah handed me that flash drive, I knew everything was worse than I thought. We were sitting in the corner of this small coffee shop. She kept looking at the door like someone might walk in. She didn't even order anything. I only have a few minutes, she whispered. My family can't know I talked to you. I plugged the flash drive into my laptop that night. Inside were PDF files, scanned emails, financial documents, and typed notes. Each one labeled with a name. 5 women. 2 ex-wives. 3 former fiancés. All of them had signed contracts similar to mine. All had gone through sudden, quiet breakups. All had walked away with nothing, even women who had supported the business, invested money, or bought homes with Ryan's dad or brother. There were patterns, hidden LLCs. Shell corporations. Real estate flips where the woman's name vanished from the deed right before a sale. Prenups modified last minute, sometimes without proper signatures. And one more twist. One of the women had tried to sue. She disappeared. Not literally, just poof, out of the city, no contact, no social media. Her name was listed under one of the shell companies as an inactive board member. I couldn't sleep that night. The next morning, Leah texted me, they know. Then her number stopped working. I never heard from her again. But that was all I needed. I took the flash drive straight to my lawyer. He looked through everything, got very quiet, and then said something that made my blood run cold. You're not in a marriage. You're in a corporate trap. He showed me how their contracts weren't about family or tradition. They were legal tools designed to slowly strip women of independence, bind them into the trust, and trap them under family council rules that gave Gregory full power. They're trying to turn you into a liability on paper, he said. That way, when you leave, you lose everything, and they gain from it. I wasn't just fighting Ryan anymore. I was fighting a machine. So I played along again. I told Ryan I was reconsidering the contract, that I wanted a fresh start. He was thrilled. I knew you'd come around, he said. You just needed time. He invited me to a weekend at the family estate. Said we'd celebrate. I said yes. But I wasn't going there empty-handed. I wore a hidden mic. My lawyer set it up, along with an external recording device. Washington is a 2-party consent state, but when one party is recording their own conversations under threat or duress tied to fraud, it gets legally fuzzy. Let's just say, we covered our bases. Saturday night, the family hosted a big dinner. Formal. Candlelit. Fancy wine. I showed up in a simple black dress and heels. I played the role. Laughed when I needed to. Smiled when Ryan touched my hand. Then, Gregory stood up to give a toast. To rebuilding trust, he said. To understanding your place in the family. And to making sacrifices for a better future. I raised my glass. Took a sip. Kept my hand steady even though I was shaking. After dinner, he asked to speak to me alone. In his study, I followed. He closed the door behind us. Locked it. So, he said, sitting down. Are you ready to behave like a real family member? I didn't answer. You were never supposed to be difficult, he continued. But we can fix that. We've done it before. Then he pulled out a different folder. Inside were photos. Screenshots. Bank statements. Private emails between me and my lawyer. We have people, he said. We see everything. That little friend in Tacoma? He should be careful. I stared at the photos. I didn't blink. You want to play hardball, that's fine. But just know, I've ended people over less. He leaned back. Now, shall we go upstairs and announce your decision? I stood, fixed my dress, looked him in the eyes. You first. He looked confused, then annoyed, then cautious. What's that supposed to mean? I smiled. Everything you just said is now part of a criminal investigation. I turned toward the door. And for the record, you really should have checked for wires. I walked out, calm on the outside, heart pounding inside. I knew I had him, but I also knew this was just the beginning. After Gregory's threat, I walked straight out of the study. My hands were shaking, but I didn't stop. I went right to Ryan. He was laughing with his cousin near the wine bar. When he saw my face, the smile faded. We need to talk, I said. He followed me outside to the patio. It was freezing, but I didn't care. Your father just threatened me, I said. With blackmail. With surveillance. He showed me emails between me and my attorney. Ryan didn't look shocked. He didn't even look guilty. You went behind our backs first. That sentence broke something in me. You let him do this? He's protecting the family. You're acting like a hostile outsider. That's when I snapped. You don't get to say that. I was ready to build a life with you. I trusted you. I loved you. And you let your father try to own me like a goddamn asset. He rolled his eyes. You're being emotional again. That word again. Before I could respond, Gregory stepped outside. Smug. Calm. I assume she told you I gave her a warning, he said to Ryan. I turned to Ryan, expecting even a shred of concern. Some sign he'd grown a spine. You're okay with this? I asked. With threats? With surveillance? With erasing my independence? He looked at me, then at his father. It's what had to be done. And that was it. Everything in me just went quiet. Like a switch flipped. What none of them knew was that I'd already sent the full recordings and documents to a private investigator and my attorney. And as of that morning, copies had been securely delivered to the Washington State Bar Association. Gregory was on a legal advisory board. The Department of Financial Institutions' 3 journalists in Seattle who specialize in corruption and real estate fraud, but the biggest bomb? My attorney had filed an injunction against Gregory's primary holding company and frozen 2 of his shell LLCs, citing fraudulent asset transfers and coercion. I turned to them both. You're done. Gregory's face went pale. Ryan looked confused. You don't have a case, Gregory hissed. Oh, I don't. But those other women you tried to bury? They do. And I made sure every one of them got a copy of Leah's files. His hands were trembling. You don't understand what you've started. No, I said, stepping closer. You don't understand who you married. I walked out of that house and never looked back. The fallout was immediate. Leah contacted me 2 days later. She was staying in a hotel under a different name. Said Gregory froze her accounts when he found out she gave me the flash drive. I connected her with my lawyer. Within a week, 3 women came forward publicly. 2 lawsuits were filed. Gregory was hit with a formal investigation. His businesses got flagged by the IRS. Ryan? He tried calling. Then emailing. Then texting. We can fix this. You didn't have to go nuclear. I miss you. My dad says we can still settle this quietly. I never answered. A few weeks later, I got a letter. Handwritten. For pages. He apologized. Kind of. Said he got caught in the machine, that this was how he was raised, and he didn't realize how far it had gone. That he thought he was doing the right thing for the family. I read it once. Then put it through the shredder. 3 months later, I sat in a small cafe back in Capitol Hill. Alone, but not lonely. Leah joined me. Her eyes looked clearer. Her hands no longer fidgeted. She'd cut her hair short. You burned it all down, she said. I smiled. No. I just pulled the curtain back. They lit the match. I lost a marriage. I lost time. I lost pieces of trust one may never get back. But I kept myself. And for the first time in a long time, I felt free. Because revenge wasn't about destroying someone else. It was about refusing to be destroyed by them.